Hi, everyone, and welcome to special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and Celebrity Interviews live from the Grotto. Without Greg Hanna today, too bad Greg couldn't make it, but he's going to ask that question for our guest today. Is Jamie Nieto, two-time Olympian athlete, actor, much more, motivational speaker. Jamie, thanks for stopping by. I brought up and reminisced when you played Roberto Clemente, and I got that big interview with you when you were at the Olympics. I don't think I have many stories of. I was interviewing you right in the Olympic, I guess festival area or wherever
The village? Was
the
it the
village.
village?
Yeah, the
Oh,
village. How many interviews did you end up doing when you were an Olympian? You don't even want to count.
oh man, they have a whole media circuit that you kind of walk through right after you're competing and stuff like that. So you just kind of stop and go along as people are stopping you and asking you about the competition and stuff like that. So I couldn't tell you how many interviews I did.
Really? Oh, cool. All right, so let's talk about your Olympics for people who don't know how your accolades as an Olympian. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a two-time Olympic high jumper. I went to the Olympics in 2004 and 2012. In 2004, I placed fourth, just missing out on a medal. I jumped 7 feet 8 inches, which was a personal best at the time, or my personal best. And then I tried to get in 2008 to make the Olympic team, but I missed out due to a technicality with USA Track and Field. They changed some rules, and usually there's two criteria to make Olympic team. You got to get the Olympic A standard, and you have to place in the top three at the Olympic trials. Well, that year in 2008, I placed second at the Olympic trials, but like a month before, they said, "Well, you won't be able to chase this standard anymore. If you don't have it by Olympic trials, you're pretty much not going to go." And everybody else in the world had till another month after our Olympic trials. So this was just something special that the U.S. was doing, and literally like and they didn't tell us that until about a month before the trials. So that put a lot of pressure on you, especially if you didn't have the standard. So literally 6 days later, I ended up jumping the Olympic A standard, and then I did like this whole arbitration and appeal, and unfortunately, I didn't make the team. But I ended up taking an acting class that year and started with that and fell in love with that and kind of continued with that ever since. And then 2012, came back. I was 35, one of the oldest American high jumpers in the nation or to ever make an Olympic team, and then went to the games. And I like to say I'm an unofficial bronze medalist. Officially, I placed fifth. And the reason why I say that is because second place, it was a three-way tie, and then I was the next person down. So unofficially, I'm a bronze medalist, but statistically, I guess I'm a fifth place person. So
No
yeah.
medal, no medal, but you're unofficially. Oh man.
Unofficial. Yeah, I'm going to give myself an unofficial bronze medal. So, I mean, who counts 1, 2, 5? You count 1, 2, 3. So I don't know why, especially at that level. It's
And
like
that was in 2016, right?
2012. 2012.
2012.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
2012. Okay.
2016 is when my accident happened.
Oh, your accident happened in 2016. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, so 2012. So that's been a long time. We did an interview in 2012. So that's, I mean, oh my goodness. How many years now? We're looking at now 14. I've been doing the show because I was only 1 year in
Yeah.
for over 15 plus years,
Yeah.
done about 30,000 interviews and one of the
Wow.
top celebrity podcasters in the world.
Yeah.
So it's amazing the journey of just, hey, go out there and just do it. And I think that's what athletes do. You just go out and do it. So let's talk about the accident. That kind of is the transformation of your story now and where you're at and in so many ways. Talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So in 2016, 2013, I retired. 14, I started volunteer coaching at UCLA. Then I got a job at USC in 15. And then 16, I decided I didn't want to do NCAA level coaching. I wanted to work with post collegiate athletes. And we were training one day out at the Azusa Pacific. And we were just, I was continuing to work out and a little bit with them. I wasn't like fully like not doing anything. So, anyways, after my competitions, I would do backflips and wave to the crowd. And so this one day we were doing some drills, and then we pulled over to the side on some astroturf and started doing some backflips. And I did a backflip, and I was telling a friend of mine, yeah, of course I can still do a backflip. So I recorded it, and I said, see, I told you I can still do a backflip. And I was like, let me try one more. And so I was kind of sitting there bouncing, and I pushed up, and then for some reason my foot slipped, and I basically went from my feet to my head, and then my body toppled over, and I couldn't move. I couldn't feel anything, and I was like, "Oh God, I hope I'm not paralyzed." And the first thing that I heard in my mind was, "Don't worry, you'll be okay. You just got to go through this." And I was like, "What is that?" And then literally, like, my life kind of flashed before my eyes, like in split second. Like I'm seeing people who were paralyzed and coming back, and my life, how I grew up, and all these different things. And then one of the athletes came into my vision, and I said, "Hey, man, call 911 up. It hurt really bad." And so I was medevaced out of there, and they took me to USC LAC, the hospital. They did an MRI, and the doctor said, the disc in your neck slipped and bruised your spinal cord. We'll have to do surgery right away, pull the disc back, put it back in place, infuse C3, C4, and then it's just kind of a waiting game after that to see how much you'll heal. And after we did the surgery, they said, I should probably get about 30% functionality back. And I said, nah, God told me I'm going to get 100% functionality back. So, I've been working hard ever since. And I would say, this is 10 years ago, at this point in time, I would say I'm about, around 80%, close to 80% back,
Wow.
Yeah, I can, so I'm kind of briefly, because I know you don't have a lot of time, but
Yeah.
after 2016, I proposed to my girlfriend at the time, who was also competing. Her name is Siobhan, and obviously you know her. And she decided, this happened in April, she decided to retire. She's also a two-time Olympian. She decided to retire, going for her third Olympics, and just stay and take care of me, which I was planning to already ask her to marry me. I was going to wait till after the Olympic Games, so I was saving up some money for a ring and everything. And then after the accident happened, I was just like, you know what? Life's too short. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I asked her in the hospital, I said, "Hey, would you marry me?" And she said, "Let's wait till you get out of the hospital and get you back on your feet." So I said, "Okay." So when we got out of the hospital, like 2 months later, I asked her again, and she said, "All right, I'm ready to go look at some rings." And then we went and looked at some rings, and I proposed, and she said yes. And then I had a goal. I was like, "Well, I want to walk you down the aisle." So this was like the end of 2016, maybe January. And at the time, I barely was standing, trying to take 2 or 3 steps, and by the time we ended up getting married in July, by the time July came around, before that, she said, "I think it'll take about 150 steps to get out of church." So I just started working on that. So my 3 steps turned into 6, my 6 turned into 12, and so on and so forth. By the time July came around, I had did 150 steps, and I told her, she was like, "Okay, great, do 200." And so I was like, "All right." So by the time we got married, I ended up doing like 206 steps, and
Oh
I
wow.
was able to walk her down the aisle, and it was a special moment. We had ESPN there, who did an amazing story on us, and a little documentary, and a Sports Center feature on us, and yeah, and so just been still rehabbing. This is like an injury that takes some time, and just doing as much as I can to get back on my feet, continue the progress to get back to 100%.
Well, I mean, it's not interesting you talk about that whole process of from paralyzed to getting back.
Yeah,
You think of other football athletes that have been able to do it. You talk about Lex Luger, how he has been able to do it through, DDPY, where he at least can stand now when they never
yeah.
thought he'd walk again either. Uh, it's really giving hope for people, but there's so much work involved.
Mm.
Talk about that. I mean, the work and the training and the physical therapy to finally walk when
Yeah,
doctors told you couldn't.
yeah. It's not easy. It definitely takes a lot of hard work and dedication. First and foremost, you need to keep God. Got to have hope. You got to have a good, strong support base, like my wife, to push me, and then also a mentality of like never giving up. And I already kind of had that mentality just from being an Olympian, and then everything else was just like just keep going at it. So you got to do your best to stay positive and optimistic. And I was, probably 90% of the time, but then there was 10% of the time when I couldn't do something that I just, normally would do, and that would frustrate me, and I would just take 5 minutes, cry, pray, and
Oh
then just
man.
get back to it. You know what I mean? And then I was okay and let it go. I wouldn't just dwell on it and be and having a pity party. I would just keep moving. There's a verse in the Bible that said, God helps those who help themselves, kind of a thing. And so I think it's faith without works is dead. It's one of those things. But so I know that if I want God to help me, I got to keep working as well. So I stay at it, and everything is coming along.
What kind of physical therapy do you have to do to be able to walk?
First of all, you got to learn how to stand. Crawling is good. And you think, oh man, these are such small things, but I literally felt like I had 1,000-pound weights on my arms and legs, so it was so hard to move, and everything is a big effort. So, just doing normal things at first is part of the workout, and then once you're able to start adding some weight or doing some like quarter squats or things like that, then you progress into that, pushing stuff and, having a good support base with the trainers and stuff. So you can do like weights and stuff. I do bungee stuff, still. I have a thing called the Total Body Board, which I got from American record holder Charles Austin. And it's a flat board that you clip bungees to, and the bungees are all different weights. And I can do curls, I can do squats with it. And,
Oh,
it's a
wow.
great tool to use. And then I also try to get out and walk as much as I can. I'll at least get out once a week and walk in my foyer and do some laps with like ankle weights on, or
So you're able to walk now.
with forearm crutches. I walk with forearm
Oh,
crutches. Yeah,
but okay,
yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, I can walk without the forearm crutches, just very slowly, and it's not I'm getting there. So yeah,
So what is your ultimate goal? To walk completely, be able to walk without those crutches at one point.
running. That's my
And
ultimate
has
goal.
anyone ever shown that progress to get to that point in
I think so.
stories?
In sports, yeah, I don't know, but I definitely think it's possible. I've heard from some people who have gotten to that point. I heard about a guy who was paralyzed for like 10 years, and then it took him 14 years to get back on his feet. And then he started competing in Masters, and he was running again. So, it just
Really?
takes time.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, that story is amazing. I
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
have thought that. So yeah.
Yeah, it takes time for the nerves to grow. Nerves grow like, like an inch a year or something like that. It's very slow. So that's part of the problem. So right now you got to think about it like my brain is sending signals down to my body, and the injury here is in my neck. So it's like if you're on the freeway driving and then there's an accident. And so everybody stops here. Well, eventually they start kind of going around the accident, figuring out other
Oh.
ways to get to where they need to get to. And that's pretty much the best analogy I can give you on
Mhm.
what's happening in my body right now.
All right. And one of the exciting things was Siobhan ended up America's Got Talent, right? About your story,
Yeah.
right? How many
Yeah,
years ago was
yeah.
that?
That was shoot, she was on season 15. That was right before COVID. And prior to that, she's an amazing singer. And so after the accident, just all these songs started coming to her. So I was like, yeah, let's get back into the studio. If you weren't able to, achieve your dream of being a three-time Olympian, let me at least encourage you and support you being a singer. So we started going to the studio, and she started making a bunch of songs. And then she wrote a song for me called "Through the Good and the Bad." And then I was like, "Hey, let's do a music video." So because I have acting, writing, and producing skills, I was like, "Oh, let me produce the music video for you." So we did that, and we just sent it to all our friends, and it came out great. And then America's Got Talent gave her a call and said, "Hey, we want you to be on season 15 of America's Got Talent." So that was amazing, and they did a great little expose on us as well. And she sang in front of the judges, and the judges loved her and passed her on to the next round. And at that time, there was nobody in the audience because of COVID, right? And literally the next day, that's when the whole world shut down. so
Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah, and so they were still trying to get the season to go, and Siobhan was actually pregnant at the time. She was 4 months pregnant. And so we just thought it was in our best, decision to not go any further, because we just didn't know enough about COVID and what could
At that
happen
point, yeah.
at that point, right? So we forego going through the rest of the rounds, but they did extend an invitation if we ever want to come back. So yeah,
Never know when when that right time comes. So
yeah,
the way I discovered you again is it's just very interesting because I'm involved in the Radiate Film Festival. I'm going to be not a presenter, I guess, on the panel discussion with a bunch of actors as the podcaster
Yeah.
on the panel in LA. And it's funny that last time I was in LA, I was in LA, I guess really in LA was back in 2013, which is crazy, right? You know, think about time and how many years ago that was. And wow, time goes. What's going on now as a filmmaker for you? One of your
So
big
yeah,
things.
I've been acting, writing, and producing, since I got out here in 2013 into LA. And since then, I've been on a few shows. I was on one called Away. It was a sci-fi with Hilary Swank and Josh Charles, and that's on Netflix. I did, I think, 3 episodes of that. And then most recently, which just came out, well, I won't say most recently. Then I did Raising Canaan, Power Book 3. It was a
Oh,
spinoff.
cool.
Yeah, and I did 5 episodes of that, which they're doing their fifth season right now, and everybody's sending me messages because my character helped one of the main characters like survive, and so they're like, "He needs you right now. We need you back on the show." And I'm like, "Yes, I wish I was back." But anyways, yeah, Raising Canaan, and then most recently I did Criminal Minds. I think it came out about maybe a month ago. I
Oh,
did an
cool.
episode of it. Yeah, I did an episode of that, so that was awesome. And last year, I did a short film called Recall, and which is out on the film festival circuit right now. And it's about a paralyzed veteran who looks to the stars to try to summon aliens so he can get healed. But what he gets back is something far more than what he could ever imagine. You know, so
Yeah. So
so
tell me how you came up with that idea for Recall.
yeah, it's funny. I was last year. I was looking at a friend of mine who was also an actor in a wheelchair, and he said he was doing the Disability Film Challenge, the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. I
Yeah,
was like,
I covered that. Who's the one that runs? It's the main actor that always does promotion for that. What's
Nick
his?
Novicki.
Yeah,
Nick,
I've had him on my show. Yeah, I've had Nick.
yeah,
He's an awesome guy. Yeah.
yeah, Nick is great. So I was like, maybe I'll write a couple shorts and have something prepared because it's like a 48-hour film festival. They give you the topic when the festival starts and the genre, and then you got to have like I think a line and a prop within the thing. But you can kind of prepare. You can write a couple different things and then maybe make it fit kind of thing. So that's what I was thinking about doing. And so I wrote this short, and I was thinking, man, it's kind of good. I like. Let me send it to a friend of mine, and I'm really highly fascinated by the UFO topic. So
Yeah.
and right now it's really big with
Oh,
the
you're on the right time, man. Oh my
right
goodness.
with the UAP stuff, and there was something I was looking at online with on YouTube about these people who could summon UFOs. Right? They said they were called like sky watchers or something like that, where and these are all military guys. These aren't like some
Yeah, I
hippies
know.
out.
It's really scary to know what they've released and how they keep changing and releasing things. My fiance Vanessa keeps telling me, Neil, this is real. I said, I know I was involved in the UFO thing before. I'm just saying what I see online and what you're seeing are two different things. And that's the problem. You know, you
Yeah,
go and just do your own Google search or you do your own AI search, it's only going to come up with some things. But if you dig deeper, it's a lot more, isn't it?
yeah. So these guys were they could summon UFOs, and they said either with like a mechanical pulse that they send out into the atmosphere or psionic, which is like mental, which is kind
Right.
of like, you know, I don't know, mentally saying, "Hey, come here" or whatever. So I use that kind of idea for the beginning of my short, and with this veteran guy thinking, "Hey, if these guys come here, their technology's got to be so good they could heal me. I could be back to normal." And that was his want for the whole film, and so I won't ruin it for you, but yeah,
Yeah, don't ruin
uh,
it. We got to check it out.
yeah, that's kind of the idea and the impetus of it, and yeah, so that's yeah, that's how it came about.
Are you playing the actor in it?
I
Oh,
am,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I wrote it, produced it, and I starred in it. I was the lead actor.
fantastic. So
Yeah,
this is really your goal, filmmaker. Like I know you're still doing the track and field thing too. So you're
yeah,
wearing multiple hats, but that's fun for you, right? It keeps you busy.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. And then I also have the kids and and family life and stuff
How
like
many
that. So
kids?
2 kids now,
Oh,
5 and 3, two little boys. Yeah.
oh, they're keeping you going too.
Yeah, and then I'm also a producer, and I produce a barbershop talk show called Cut to It. It's on Aspire TV, the first season, and right now we're optioning to try to get a second season. They made us an offer already, and so we're trying to, get that all situated now. So it'll probably the second season will probably be out in 2027. We had some amazing guests the first season, people like Willie Gault, Michael Jai White. Who else? Bentley Kyle Evans, he's a director. And then this season we had people like Chris Paul, NBA
Wow.
superstar, Johnny Gill, Rampage, Russell Peters. So we had a lot of great interviews. So I'm really looking forward. I'm not in it, but I'm the producer of it. So I'm really looking forward to that
So
coming out
that's
as well.
great. I mean, to get to the produce and like, how did you kind of get that idea going?
A friend of mine, he had the idea. He said, "Hey man, I love like the barber talk banter. I want to get
Hmm.
together with you and do a show." And I was like, "All right." So I sat. That was literally kind of the whole pitch to me. And I was like, "All right, let me sit down and like, maybe how can we do this that hasn't been seen before, or add our own little spin or twist to it?" And so I just sit down for a few months and figured something out. And it's like a hybrid. So it's kind of like a talk show slash reality show where as they're doing the interview, it pops out to confessionals. And they'll say, when he said that, this, that, or whatever. And then they'll pop back into the interview. And, so it was just something a little different and fun. And the lead not actor, the lead barber, they're all real barbers. The lead barber is Garrett Dixon. He's an actual barber, but he's also a
Mm.
comedian. So he brings a lot of energy to it. And it's a really fun show. Yeah.
Well, fabulous. A lot of things going on. I got the
Yeah.
final question for you. And this is one I'm going to be interested to see because you've gone through so much in your life. Have you written a book yet on your story?
I've written a book, yes. Is it out? No. I just, my wife encouraged me after the accident to write it, and I
You just
did.
not
And
published it. You've not put it out in the publishing world. Yeah.
yes, it hasn't been published yet. It needs to be edited, but it is pretty much finished. We do have a literary agent, but we're still looking for a writer because we want to tell the love story about me and my wife, and the accident being part of it and the track
Mhm.
being part of it, but more about the love story.
You're
And
looking
I
for a
think,
ghostwriter, it sounds like, to be part of it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have an amazing person. I'll have to. So I have connections to everywhere. So
Oh, perfect,
definitely,
perfect.
I definitely will put that introduction. I see us working together more. It's all about the LA thing, and and tell Siobhan I said hi. I definitely. And best place. This is your last question. Here's the final question. See, when I
Okay.
say 15 to 20 minutes, I don't know how things are going to flow, but man, it just seems like so much I had to catch up on. I guess for
Yeah,
15 years, right?
yeah, yeah.
15
A lot
years.
happened.
A lot has happened in 15 years. So tell me, Jamie, what's the most important thing in life you've ever learned?
Man, don't take life for granted. I think that's the biggest thing. Your only limitations are what you believe. That's the other thing. Never give up. Keep trying. Keep God first. But tomorrow is not promised. Tomorrow is not promised. I can't say that enough. Like after my accident, you really kind of get that perspective, and really you got to learn to appreciate life and stop letting life pass you by. And I do that a lot more now, and with the great help of my wife too. She helps me to stay focused. you know.
Nice that both of you guys were Olympians, right? That's the big thing,
Yes.
right? Because
Well,
that
we're not we're Olympians. We still are Olympians.
where
We're
you are
always
still
Olympians.
Olympian. I mean, anyone who's an Olympic athlete is a high achieving person.
yeah. Yeah.
And surrounding yourself with another high achieving person's got to be an amazing story, for sure.
Yeah.
And I love the answer to that question. Best place to go. The short is not available yet, right? You're waiting for distribution on that. So the only way is film festivals, right?
Yeah, right now we're in some film festivals. Which is great. We just so the first one that's coming is the So Real Film Festival in Berkeley, which is happening June 20th. It'll play there, and then I think the next one, June, we got into the LA Short Film Festival, which will be in July. That's a huge one, Oscar qualifying, BAFTA, and some other ones. So I'm really excited about LA Short as well. And then the Hip Hop Film Festival, which is in New York, that comes out in August. And I was really excited about that one as well because we got nominated for Best Short, Best Cinematography, Best Best Short, Best Cinematography, Best Actor, and Best Screenplay. So I was really
Right.
excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I saw you on good old Facebook. And then with what we're doing with the Radiate TV Film Festival, and then
Yeah.
with this group I'm working with the NIL, I see us talking much more. That's what the power of podcasting. And I'm sure you saw it when you were producing the barbershop, that the relationships you built from producing those 2 seasons
Yeah,
are
definitely.
unbelievable. Like once you get involved in a project and you meet those people, they're friends for a lifetime. That's what's so great
Yes.
about the industries that we're in.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
definitely.
All right,
Yeah.
website to go. Where's best place for all these things?
You can find me at jamienieto.com. And also, I do high jumping coaching. So I do one-on-one coaching and I do a seminar twice a year. You can find me on Instagram at Jamie Nieto. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all the social media platforms. So I'm pretty easy to find.
All right, thanks, Jamie. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Thank you,
All
Neil.
right, that was a special simulcast, the Neil Haley Show and Celebrity Interviews.